50 fucking 2. Jeez.
Stan, Ryan, Rowan, Cy the Gooner will be joining us shortly. You know what time it is. Let's get it. How's it? Welcome to episode lucky 13 of the Bearded Gooner Show. I've got Stan, the man, the brand, joining me from Vancouver. Stan, welcome. Thanks for being on with me. How are you?
I'm very well, mate. It's a lovely, sunshiny day afternoon here in Vancouver.
Brilliant. My brother from another mother, the yin to my yang, the ham to my burger. Ryan from the Arse Bros. How are you, bud?
I'm doing good. It is hot and sunny in Connecticut, and it's also hot as dick. And I'm not stepping anywhere outside. So
it is. Yeah. It is miserable here in Pittsburgh as well. It's just unbelievably hot and humid. And Rohan Verdi, Esquire, how are you, sir? Thanks for being here with me.
Esquire.
Very good. Thank you.
I don't know if he's an Esquire or not, but I like him.
Hey, guess what, Ryan? That's your brand. You're Esquire now.
Yeah. Just like the magazine.
It and then I am. Yeah, I take that. So yeah, I'm very well. Thanks for having me. Yeah, and how much I love you and all of you guys is testament to the fact that it's 93 outside and freaking humid, and I don't have the AC on.
I want you to be comfortable, man, because my AC is on right now. Trust me. So you guys know who I am. You've always known who I am. I'm the Bearded Gooner. This is my show. It is a no-nonsense show, and for those of you who are Saturday Night Live fans, hopefully you get that reference. So we're going to jump right into it. Gentlemen, is this for real? Did last week actually happen? Did we seriously beat can we call them the reigning champs? Are they the reigning champs now, or are City still the defending champs until the end of the season, and then Liverpool become the champs? Either way, we've beaten now the reigning and defending current and once were defending champions. So
sure,
beat Liverpool 2-1. We'll start with Liverpool. And I know it was 5 days ago, so pick up your memory caps, put them on, and Stan, I'll go right to you first. Give me your thoughts on the Liverpool match.
Well, after the match, looking at the way people were kind of talking about it, it's like, well, Arsenal only won the match because, Liverpool gifted them, made a couple of mistakes. But, I mean, if you look at the reaction when we done the same at Tottenham and we gifted them a goal, it was the other way around sort of thing, So there's always going to be that. And I look at it this way, yeah. A lot of people also said that, Liverpool were on the beach already. They had a hangover. They've already run it. They weren't up for it. Well, I looked at the stats and I tweeted them out, and the stats show otherwise. They had something like 28 shots on our goal. We only had 2 shots on goal, but we scored with those 2 shots. So we took our chances. So I was more than happy with Liverpool. We held out to the best club in the world, and we got a result over them. I mean, beating the Premier League champions and European champions and the best club in the world, it's not for everyone. So you're going to get detractors.
Yeah. It's we were talking off air, and you're never going to be satisfied. There are just certain fans that are just never going to be satisfied, and there's always going to be excuses. So, but yeah, the mistakes that Liverpool made. Could you say that we created the mistakes?
Oh yeah,
they made, so
of course. I mean, only a few months ago, if we had an opposition goalkeeper standing there with maybe the ball at his feet, we would just probably stand there and look at him and allow him loads of time to pick out a pass and get the game moving. Whereas now, as soon as the ball comes out of the goalkeeper's hand, we're on it. We're looking for any little scraps that we can, and we've scored, I would say, maybe 3 or 4 goals now so far since football's returned in that manner. And I'm including the Willock one where the ball was kind of spilled out. He still had to be running in there to get that goal. So I like this. I like it. Fight for every ball.
Yep. And almost makes you wonder why we haven't been doing this all along. I'm not really sure that I understand why every club doesn't do this. Press the ball, especially back there. Press the ball. How many times has a goalkeeper scored? I know it's happened. I know it's happened, but it doesn't happen often. And it's one of those things that if you ever see it happen, you're always going to remember it. So, Ryan, I'll come to you next. Thoughts on the Liverpool match?
Yeah, I mean, so leading up to the Liverpool match, you can include the Liverpool match too. The game is based on fine lines, and we made a mistake or didn't make a mistake, and I think it kind of either. How do I explain this? Our games from the restart to now have really just been based on just either us making a mistake or not making a mistake, and they were very, very fine lines. A goal, 2 goals, what have you. The thing with the Liverpool match was, they ended up making mistakes, not us. So, it's always good. I don't think we played particularly well, but we defended. I thought we defended fairly well, and I think that there's juice to squeeze for Arteta, and I think there's something in the Kool-Aid, as the kids say. So I definitely think going forward, even before the Man City match, I think there was something to build on, there's some foundation there that I think he's laid for us, and I'm fully, and I've tweeted this probably like 3 or 4 times, but I am sitting first class on the Mikel Arteta hype train. Choo choo, motherfuckers.
Choo choo. Rowan, I throw it to you, man. Follow up the choo choo.
So I can't top that, right? So let's get that out of the way. Now, I don't get, like Stan said, right? Like, I don't get the fact that when we make a mistake, and it was an unprovoked mistake that we made against Spurs, that's a mistake. But what we did against Liverpool, we coerced them into making those mistakes, right? Like, we got into positions, that mistake would be made. Lacazette was alert for the first goal. He went in and he tried to, and he rounded the keeper. Love that sort of a goal. And then in the second one, Lacazette again positionally aware that the body shape of the goalkeeper there, Alisson, was in a way that he couldn't pass to his outside. He had to pass to the inside. Great work by Nelson to first block the first pass, and then the only pass was to the extreme right, where Lacazette came and cut it off. So it was designed, it was planned in a way that we were going to kill them on the counter. And then we do know that there is a gulf in class between the teams, right? Like, in terms of quality, you knew that they were going to have the ball, they were going to have the possession, but we had that base to live with. In fact, we were 1-0 down, and then we got that chance and we capitalized on it. And, of course, Liverpool are in the balance of play. They will play better than us and they will have more possession. But, defending is also the part of the game. And, that is the part of the game that lets us down the most. And we defended doggedly. We put our bodies on the line. And kudos to the guys. I don't think that it was a fluke that we won.
Yeah, well said. And I think the key to both matches, and we'll get into the FA Cup semifinal here in just a minute, but the key, I think, to both matches was the way we defended. And like you said, Rowan, getting bodies in the way, sacrificing, the body, getting in front of shots, getting in passing lanes, what have you. And we won these 2 matches with defense. And it's an excellent point that you make as well with the mistake against Spurs, that it was completely unprovoked on their end. It was a gaffe on our part. But the 2 mistakes that Liverpool make, when you look back on them, were from pressure from our players. We created that mistake. So, but the 2 wins here on the trot now against the 2 best teams, arguably in Europe, are a testament to what Arteta is not. I'm not even going to talk tactics with Arteta with these 2 wins, because it's more desire. This is more, to me, we know what we have to do to win this game. We're not going to get in a track meet with either of these teams because we won't win. We're just going to defend our asses off and make sure that we're in front of every single ball, and we frustrate the bejesus out of you, and I'm going to throw it right back to you, Rowan. Go ahead on the FA Cup semifinal.
The FA Cup was a tactical masterclass. I don't think it was just about desire. If you guys haven't seen the breakdown that came out today, do watch it. Basically, the night before the game, which was on Friday night, I had said that, one thing that I do not want to see is cutbacks, right? That is how City score maximum goals. They go down the line and then, on the edge of the box and they pull it back. And they've scored like that so many times against us. And I'm sick to death because the next day there would inevitably be a training ground video in which they're doing the same thing. And it makes us look like fools, right? But this game, we had a plan, we went in with that plan, and everybody stuck to that plan. We weren't going to have the possession against City. We knew that they aren't great crossing the ball in because we have 3 central defenders and they don't have the height. We were like, you can have it there, but you're not going through us. And every time the ball was cut back, it was either Xhaka or Luis who was there to cut it off. And then we knew that we have that lethal striker in offense who's got the pace. Once he's got the run on you, you can't stop that guy. And that was just brilliant. But everybody was brilliant. Kudos to the team. Unexpected, but well deserved.
Yeah, well said, Stan.
Yeah, it was a tactical masterclass, and like you said, Tana, both of those wins were down to the defensive part of the play, but not just the defense. It was the whole team that was defending. We were defending from the top all the way back, which is the reason how we forced some of those errors, right? Can you hear me okay? Because there's a lot of drilling started in the background. Can you hear the drilling?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, when I finish this, I'll move inside because it's getting on my nerves a little bit. But yeah, we were in the cup final. And I was nervous going into the Man City game because I thought, we've just done all of that hard work against Liverpool, and now we're probably going to maybe get undone now by Man City. And it was like watching a different team. And I think I said on your show a few weeks back about, when we went through that period of time with the clean sheets, about, we're getting disciplined now, so hopefully the pretty football will return. It's beginning to return. Really nice patterns of play. The team looks more organised. But I really hope that the people that hold the purse strings haven't been watching those 2 games and they're sat together going, maybe we don't need to buy anyone. Look, this is working. No, it's good that we've got those 2 wins, but there is still work to be done if we want to continue to maintain it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rowan, I don't want to say you contradicted me. It was a tactical masterclass from Mikel Arteta. It wasn't down to just desire. In either match, it wasn't down to just desire. I mean, in the Liverpool match, we have to finish the opportunities, and against City, and to Stan's point, with defending all the way back, and I think that is when you see your frontline players, Lacazette, Aubameyang, Pepe, and Pepe was the one that I really noticed on Sunday. He was back, not inside the 18-yard box, but within 18 yards of the goal line, out wide. They're buying into the defending, and we've all heard the old adage that what's the best offense? It's a good defense, and vice versa, obviously, but they're buying in. And again, when you see Lacazette tracking back and Aubameyang tracking back as far as they are to play defense, that I think is when the players are buying into the system. They're buying into the coach, and they want to be on board with the message that he's trying to get across. So Ryan, go ahead on the Cup semifinal.
I don't even want to say they're buying into defending. I think they're just buying into just working hard and playing for the manager and playing for the badge.
Well, yeah, and I think and I think that the defending, especially for an very offensive minded player, I think that them coming back to play defense shows that they're buying into the system overall. So,
but the point I wasn't trying to contradict you. My point was, we're going places, And it's funny because after the Liverpool game, we were on Arsenal fan circle, and Rohan was like, "Oh, but we did this, and like we're so hot." And I was just almost sort of the complete opposite of Rohan, but not really. I was like, "Yeah, we won, but 2 goals were gave to us. And like we had to do work to finish them, but we're a top, we're a top club, and we're supposed to finish these things." But then, like, you think about it, and then you watch the Man City performance, and then you're like, "Oh, wait a minute, they're actually buying in." And we actually, like we had to finish the 2 chances that we got for Liverpool, and like, yes, we may have not played the best, and we were chasing them around for 30 minutes, but like, we're doing something, we're making progress, and Rome wasn't built in a day, as the people say, but I love where we're going. And as far as the Man City performance, I mean, it was like, and it was weird. I don't want to say it was night and day from the Liverpool performance, because we did beat Liverpool, but it was shocking how I thought like we were just, I don't want to say we played Man City off the park, but the things we were doing, you're like, "Oh, you could do this. Oh wait, you could do that. You can't keep up, because the players were just, they bought in, and you kind of you kind of realize when you're watching them play, you're like, "Oh, okay, I gotcha." And it's nice to see. I got to be honest though, just to be a little negative, I'm sorry. I wish they bought in a little sooner, because I would have loved to beat Tottenham, but whatever, I'll take it. We're in the finals, baby.
It's a cup final, and at the end of the day, think about it. There is a chance that we could knock the scum out of European football while they finish above us. Now, I don't want them to finish above us, and we'll get into this in a little bit with the last 2 league matches. But imagine knocking them out of European football by winning a trophy. Number one, they finish above us, and they still don't get European football. I want to finish above them, because I want to finish above them every year. But yeah, you guys know my take on that. Tony brings up a good point in the comments here, and I get this, Tony, that yes, it's not a sustainable model, and eventually the toll of playing defense the way that we have in the last 2 games will catch up to us. And I don't think that you will see this kind of defending against Aston Villa, against Watford. I'm not sure you'll see this kind of defending against Chelsea in the cup final, if I'm being honest. I think you'll see a bit of a, and I don't want to get too far ahead. We'll save the cup final for a different show. But yeah, it's definitely not sustainable. The effort that it takes to get yourself in those passing lanes, in front of shots, and forcing guys to the outside like we did against Manchester City, and the tactics that Arteta puts in to defend against those clubs, it's just not sustainable. But then against clubs like Villa and Watford, we have to take our chances. We have to be the team in attack. We not necessarily to the tune of 60 or 70% possession, but we need to be on the front foot. We need to be pressing their defenders, their back line, their goalkeeper, and because we know that those teams will make mistakes. Stan, so I guess, on Tony's point, and a little bit looking forward as well, I don't think anybody would say that, yeah, but it is sustainable. I don't think anybody would agree with that. Would you?
I don't think it's sustainable, but I mean, I wonder what the ratio is of the 40 shots, how many of those are on target. Because if you want to blast the ball all day, then do that. It's the ones that are on target and how many of those are forcing saves. Now, we've seen that Martinez is making a lot of saves. But, I mean, I think it was Liverpool, 25 shots. How many of those are on target? I think only 5 were. 4 or 5, something like that, yeah? So,
I'm going to look it up right now.
If they want to keep blasting and blasting over, then, But I agree with what Tony says. In the long run, that's not something that's sustainable.
No, not at all. Ryan, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm laughing. I'm sorry. So I don't.
What are you laughing at?
Okay, so nothing to do with what we were saying, so I'm so sorry. But so Kane's having a baby, right? And he did like the whole gender reveal thing, and it's a boy. So great, awesome, congrats, I guess. I don't know. So
Is it a boy or a girl?
it's a boy.
It doesn't matter what number.
Yeah. So
that was for you.
So Harry Kane tweeted, "We're having a boy," and Lethal Lacazette. Shout out to Lethal Lacazette. He tweeted, "What are the odds that the kid's for Tungans?" So that's why I was hysterically laughing. Don't mind me while I was just laughing hysterically.
So what you're saying is basically while they're in training, Vertonghen's going to be Clue Haywood from Major League. Hey, Kane, what are you doing here? I didn't know they called you up. How's your wife and my kids?
Maybe that's why Ericsson left.
Yeah. We're talking sloppy seconds. Yeah, so I don't know what the fucking question was. I was too busy laughing hysterically at
Tony brought up.
Oh, yes. Okay, so
the shots, the sustainability, things of that nature. Going
back to what I said. Rome was not built in one day. We get this. And I don't remember which one he said this, but we're throwing ourselves in front of shots and we're throwing ourselves on defense. And it's like, it's crazy because as an Arsenal fan, you know, and you have David Luiz and you have Mustafi, you're like, no, what are you doing? You're going to get sent off. They've been sent off multiple times. They've conceded multiple penalties. We know this. So it's still, you're still like, your heart's in your asshole and you're like, oh, don't do it. Like, what are you doing? But I think now it's a little more tame. It's a little more composed. And I know everyone brings this up, but in the Man City game, David Luiz and kind of Mustafi both went to ground to stop Sterling's shot. He got in the box. He had a great shot on net. David Luiz knew Sterling was going to go to his right. He made a brilliant defensive stop, and I think we're getting smarter. And I said this in a previous podcast. You know, Mustafi used to go to ground every time he would be scared and need his little nightlight, and he would be like, "Oh fuck, I gotta go. I'm scared." Yeah, he's getting better. Yeah, he fucked up against Kane on Tottenham. You know, he still has those things, you know, ingrained in him. But I think as a team, you know, like I said, Rome was built in one day. I think we're getting a lot better. I think at the end of the day, I think Luiz is a very smart defender. And not saying he's world class. I know some people say he had a world class performance against Man City. He was great. Maybe, honestly, I wouldn't even disagree with people saying that. But he's a very smart defender. And I think, you know, we're getting there slowly but surely. And I'm excited to see what's to come. But the 40 shots against, you know, it's going to happen for now. It's going to take time.
And my thought process is that, you know, not every other two teams are going to have 40 shots. You know, I would be more concerned if Watford and Aston Villa have 40 shots against us, you know. And the fact of the matter is that when we saw the game, within the two games, so 180 minutes, I can hardly remember when we were really threatened, you know. Against City, there was that one Mahrez shot, which was their only shot on target, which Emi saved, and brilliant save at that, because he didn't let the ball get away from him. So that was one. And Sterling had one chance of the cutback, which he put in wide. You know, that was it. And against Liverpool, they were long shots. It's not like they had a lot of possession in the box where they were, you know, trying to get, were going to score goals and were putting us under pressure. That wasn't happening. You know, so this is a process, right? And I think we all
trust the process.
And I think we all love, Mikel Arteta's press conferences. He's very well spoken. His thoughts are very well rationalized and stuff. But his best interview, I think, for me, was after the Liverpool game, in which he said that, you know, that we do understand that there is a difference in class between Liverpool and us, between City and us. In terms of quality, there is a difference. But there shouldn't be a difference in terms of commitment, in terms of desire, in terms of hunger, you know. So we are matching them for desire, hunger, and all of these good things. Quality will come, you know. And with these performances, what I hope is, to Stan's point, that the board sees that this is a manager, given the right tools, he will do the right thing, you know. he has to explain to the board that I'm polishing a turd here, right? At the end of it, as shiny as it becomes, it will still be a turd. So, I don't think he is fooled by the fact that he's got a clean sheet against Man City and only conceded once against Liverpool and basically won both the games. I don't think Arteta is naive like that. He's worked with the best players personally and made them better. He knows what quality we have, and he knows that we have to make changes. Trust the process; it will come.
Yeah, a turd. Listen, Paul's a turd that beat Man City, beat Liverpool, and this is what I want to bring up before. Mikel Arteta beat Liverpool, he beat Man City, and beat Corona. First manager to ever do that. Shout out to Mikel Arteta.
Exactly, and I want to say one more thing that that this whole thing of us being under the cosh, being not being able to play out, all of these are things that do not happen in 6 months. These are things that take years to overcome, right? And we have to give that time to the team. We have to give that time to the manager. And if we don't spend in the summer, we know where the blame lies, because Arteta has made it clear that he feels that the quality is not top notch.
On that note, and it just real quick, and give me some brief thoughts on this. If Arteta had started this season as the head coach, as the manager, whatever his official title is, what position do you think we're in right now?
Ooh.
And it's again, it's a bit of a silly question. I know that, because it's all ifs and buts. But I'm curious as to what you guys think, if had he been in charge from the beginning of this season, where we'd be. Anybody? I'll throw it out. Just go ahead. Anyone.
I mean, I don't know if we would be in a better spot, maybe a position or two higher, but I do think I think selfishly, ex-boyfriend of mine, I think the whole Guendouzi situation would kind of be sorted out by now. I think we'd kind of have a better understanding of what's going on. I mean, yeah, he's all but gone. All right, Andrew, I love him, my man, but I guess you can't argue that. But my whole point is this: I don't really care about where we are in the standings, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, first, second. Doesn't matter. I think it's we need a culture change, and I think Arteta brings that. I think him as a captain of Arsenal, a former captain of Arsenal, I think no one better. And I think these players can either buy in or ship out. And I think we'd have a better understanding on Maitland-Niles, who I absolutely adore. And, like back to what I said about Guendouzi, I really want to have kind of an answer to it. I mean, I kind of already have it in the fact that he's all but gone. But, I mean, yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I will say fourth. I think if Arteta had been in charge from the beginning, I think we'd be in fourth position right now.
I think we'd be higher up the table, because you can see that the way that we're playing football and the way that he wants to play football seems to be better than the philosophy that Emery was trying to put across to the team. But when you've got the tragic five that we have in our squad, you can't legislate for the individual errors that those five are capable of making. And that's the thing. You can go on a nice run of a few games, and then one of those five has the brain fart that they're susceptible to, and you drop points. The mistakes are the difference between getting all 3 points, drawing, or losing a game. So you can't legislate for that. And I'm sure Mikel Arteta is aware of that. And that's the one thing that he wants to put right. And it's probably the reason why we're defending in the manner that we are now. We're defending in the manner that we are now, because it's the only way that we can galvanize and work without losing games. Do you know what I mean? But I'm sure that if he gets players that he wants, that back five or back three, however you want to call it, that'll be gone. I don't think that he's here to stay. maybe for some matches, depending on opponents. But generally, I don't see that formation happening. And we'll have that extra man in the midfield somewhere.
And who knows, too? Like, I love Arteta. I think he's leaps and bounds over Emery, who's been a manager for how long? I don't even know. And Arteta just came into the job. But I think I could almost see a scenario where we almost could be doing worse or the same, because I think we need a complete rebuild. Everyone, I think, knows we need a complete, tear that shit up, get it out of here. I think Arteta does a little bit more experimenting, and I think Arteta kind of pulls, kind of mix and matches a little bit, kind of dresses the team up how he seems fit, to kind of weed the negative forces out, or weed the weaklings out. So it's interesting, because in one end, I think, we're better. We're like a fourth, I would say maybe fifth, but I would say fourth or fifth place team. But in the same respect, I could see us where we kind of are, maybe even worse, just because I think Arteta needs to experiment. Because I think at this point, I don't even think he knows who his best 11 is, and I don't think he knows who he necessarily wants to keep, wants to sell, and all that shenanigans.
Yeah, Rowan, I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, so when the season started, and I'd done a couple of videos on this, and I'd said that in terms of quality of the squad, I felt that we had the third best squad, or on paper starting 11. And although our defense wasn't bad, we had a lethal front three, right? Like our front three were as good as City's, and probably the only front three that was better was Liverpool's, and that was the difference. And I thought that with Chelsea's transfer ban, I don't rate Ole, so so United were in the dumps. Nobody thought that Leicester would go on such a run. And even now, if you see what's third, it's like last season, right? It seems like nobody wants to finish third and fourth, right? Like they just keep dropping points. And if we would have just picked up points in silly places that we've dropped, we could have been miles ahead. Of course, there will be these moments where these guys are going to cost you games, etc. But I thought that there was no game plan with Emery. We were going into games confused. We didn't know what was happening, and that's why it's not even like we lost a bunch of games, but he was so afraid of losing that we wouldn't win any games. And in the Premier League, a draw is as bad as a loss. So
thank you, Rohan. I've been preaching that. I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but that's Emery's style. In the beginning of the season, he was so scared to lose, he didn't want to go for the win. And I think that's a big thing for us, because if we had Arteta, I think, it's a different scenario, because, you don't want to lose, but in the same respect, you want to know who's along for the ride, who's coming along, and if, you have to go for the win and you lose, it is what it is. But, we set the draw record, I think, at 14, 13 draws. So it doesn't show us anything. It doesn't really have substance for us. I think we need to kind of, push the gas and play chicken on the cliff as far as we can, because we need to figure out who's staying, who's going, and we can't be scared to lose. With the Invincibles scared to lose. Yeah, after a while, I'm sure they want to keep the fucking record going, but at the end of the day, 100 miles per hour. That's it, baby.
But we weren't at that place, right? So I think what really shook him was that run-in that we had, and eventually we just lost out on one more win. If we had last season, we would have qualified for the Champions League, and that was a big jolt for Emery, in my opinion. And then he was just so scared of losing. If you look at it, City's lost more games than us. Leicester have lost more games than us. The only two teams who've lost lesser games than us are Liverpool and United. These are the only two teams that have lost lesser games than us. And so if we just converted a few of those draws into wins, maybe we would have lost some, but on the aggregate, we would have had more points, right? That's essentially the issue. And so I think that we could have been third. I said in the beginning of the season that, if we don't finish third or a close fourth, I would be disappointed. And, I still believe that should have been true.
Well, it absolutely should have been true, and I'm in complete agreement with you, Rowan. That I thought at the beginning of the season we had a squad that was good enough to challenge for third or fourth. Liverpool and Man City they're in a plane all their own. We're not there yet, and I don't think anyone else is either. But there was no reason, in my opinion, why we shouldn't have been third or fourth with this squad. And yeah, it's a major disappointment that we're not. And to echo your sentiments about Emery going for draws because he was scared of losing, I can't really say it any better. Stan, did you want to add anything on this, or if you're ready to move on? I think I got a good segue here into when we're talking about winning. Oh wait, wrong one. Not yet. Wrong banner. There we go. So on the topic of going for wins versus, at this point, we can say resting players for the final and things of that nature. The fact of the matter is that 7th place is still attainable. And we do have 2 opponents that by rights we should beat. We should beat Villa tomorrow, and we should beat Watford at the weekend. Especially it's the last home game against Watford. Villa are fighting for their lives to stay up. Watford, to a degree, they might be safe by Sunday, so they may not have anything to play for. But I think it's still achievable. So I think we should absolutely be going for these last 2 wins. And we get a week off between Watford. We get 6 days because the cup final's Saturday, I believe. So we get a week off. The top guns in this club are going to get a week to rest and recharge the battery before a cup final after the Watford match. So we should absolutely be going for this, in my opinion. And Stan, I'll throw it over to you.
Hopefully the players have now realised, if you look back, we're talking about teams that we should beat. Hopefully they look back at the Brighton game and realise that they can't take things for granted and just use that as an alarm bell, and that they go out there and take those last 2 games seriously. Take them as seriously as if they're playing Liverpool or Manchester City. We might not get into Europe, but let's get as many points as we can, and let's have a little bit of pride about ourselves. I don't mind if he wants to switch the team up and put in some other faces, to give them minutes, because at the same time, there's some players that we want to make decisions about. There's other players that need more of a run of time. There's some players like Pepe, for me, that I feel they need rhythm. You can't keep taking them out, putting them in, taking them out. So let's try and get a little bit of rhythm.
Yeah, and the fact is, and I just put up Andrew's comment, momentum. Imagine dropping one of these 2 matches. Honest to God, imagine losing one of these 2 matches because and I'll bring up Tony's comment here. It is unlikely, but it isn't impossible. And so, yes, I would probably give. I don't want to get off on a prediction tangent here, but as far as tomorrow goes, I'd Laka, Abba probably start on the bench. Probably Pepe too. My front 3 would probably be Saka, Eddie leading the line, and Reece Nelson out on the right. At least in my attack, those are probably the 3 guys I would start, to give the other 3. I'd put them on the bench, but they'd get a rest. And I'd probably be very, very hesitant to bring any one of them on, because I would want to give them a break, because that would, when you think about it, that would be a week between matches for them, between Manchester City and Watford, and then they get all but another week between Watford and the FA Cup final, which puts you basically right at the beginning of the season in terms of scheduling, where you're just going once a week, But again, imagine losing these games because we played, the younger players. If Zach Medley were to get a run out, let's say, or who's the his name's gonna escape me. Who's the kid that they've been putting on the bench? Yes. This is not the time to be giving these kids runouts. 7th place is still possible, and I think we should absolutely go for it for a multitude of reasons. Rowan?
See, I want our club to win every match. right? Like, be it a friendly, be it five-a-side, whatever we are playing, I want them to win, right? Like now, but what I do think is that the priority needs to be set, and what is the priority? Number one priority is the FA Cup. You don't want to put in these starters, like you said, the guys that I would even, put Ceballos and Xhaka on the bench because, they had a hell of a performance there. They should, get some rest. You don't want any of these guys to get, a niggle, an injury here, there. Give them a complete week, That's important. That is number one. The second most important thing is that, like I had said at the beginning of this restart, that this is a tryout for guys, whether they're going to stay here or not. And this is a great time for some of these, fringe players to show that, that we also want to be part of the final. We also want to be part of next season. This is the time for them to come out and show that. The first teamers, the starting 11 have shown that in on the weekend. They've shown that against Liverpool. Now it's time for the fringe players to show it. I don't want us to lose because of complacency. We might lose because we're unlucky. It's not our day. We've tried. We've had 20 odd shots on target. Let's see, like, we probably should get credit if we have 20 shots on target and still lose, right? Like, I mean, that it should be equal for everyone, right? So, but it shouldn't be that we have been outplayed tactically or we've been outplayed, due to desire. As long as that is there, the key ingredients are there. I am not really fussed about, the next two games because the eyes are solely on the FA Cup. That's our route to Europe. That is what we have to go for. I would like to finish as high on the table as possible, but I will not risk the FA Cup for these two games.
So let me put this maybe a bit of a different way. And guys over in the comments, please answer this question. So, Rowan, I think you said that you would put Ceballos and Xhaka on the bench as well. So you would go with Willock and Torreira, presumably in the midfield, to start. So let me ask you this. If we come out flat against Villa tomorrow, and let's just say that, so starting 11 looks like Eddie up front with Saka and Nelson out wide, Willock and Torreira in the midfield. So who would be the three center backs then? Kolasinac, Holding.
Kolasinac, Holding, and
you probably got to start one of Mustafi or Luiz.
You could start one of the guys who started on the weekend, right? But then you rest them for the Watford game.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. So and again, guys in the comments, please get involved on this because I know you guys are going to have a big opinion on this question. If we come out flat, and this is kind of something, especially in light of the 5 substitute rule. Now, if we come out flat and those guys are on the bench, do you make a substitution in the first 20 minutes? Not because of injury, but because you're trying to change the attitude on the pitch. And in all honesty, I'm trying to think of something else I could relate this to, but it doesn't. There's not really anything else in any other sport that this would be relatable to. But I'll be honest with you, if I'm the coach and the team that I put out on the pitch in the first 20 minutes, we go down a goal and we're just not showing any effort, any energy, it's just a flat game. We just come out flat for whatever reason. With 5 subs, with 3, I probably don't do it. I let it ride and hope they can get it turned around. But with 5 substitutes, yeah, I might be real inclined to bring one guy on, and it would probably either be Xhaka, Ceballos, or Lacazette, because I think one of those 3 guys could kind of grab the team and be like, nope, okay, we're done with this attitude. We're going now. Let's go. So go ahead.
First of all, I don't think that should be the situation because I feel like Arteta is a great motivator, right? Like, that's one. Second thing is that if that is the issue, then we've got deeper problems in the squad than just this, and then these players are not the ones that we go in to next season, and so basically what you do is I would ride it out unless you are getting tactically overrun, which hopefully should not happen against Aston Villa. I mean, they're 19th or now 18th for a reason, right? Like it's not like in that game against Chelsea, the first one that we played, Lampard made the right substitution by bringing on Jorginho because we were controlling the midfield, and then they started controlling the midfield. If that sort of situation arises, then you get somebody in. But if it's just about desire, then they need a kick up the backside. They will come in for half time, right? And we should have enough to to be able to sustain that pressure and go into halftime and still have a salvageable situation. We were 2-0 down, I think, against Villa in early in the season, and then we rallied back, right? So, So there is obviously a possibility. There's a precedent that we can follow, and whoever doesn't turn up is basically signing their letter that they can leave.
Yeah, Stan. One thing I keep forgetting about is this god awful water break. Real quick, round the horn, real quick, and then Stan, I'm going to come back to you on my original question. Water break in the middle of each half, yay or nay?
Yeah.
What do you? Yeah, you guys like it?
Stan, yeah, I don't want it to remain, if you know what I mean. I agree with what's happening now because of the situation, precaution, but I don't want to be sitting in 3 years' time and we're stopping for water breaks still.
Right.
No, exactly.
And I think the water break. Go ahead, Rowan. Sorry.
The reason why I like it is because we've got a new manager and he gets his chance to speak to those players. For Arsenal specifically, this is a good thing. 22 minutes he speaks to them and he says that this is going wrong. Maybe you're not doing this or that. But once you're a year and a half into your reign, then it should be automatic. Then you shouldn't have to tell them in between the halves. You maybe make a little bit of tactical changes in the second half, but you shouldn't have to do it during this thing. But right now, for Arsenal, I think it is it's better that we have that break.
Yeah, Tony made a good point there. So, and it's something that I keep forgetting that we do this. But yeah, I probably I still might be inclined to do it, but I probably wouldn't do anything before the water break, to be honest with you. Stan, go ahead on the original question. Would you be inclined to make a change with 5 subs if the performance just wasn't there, say prior to the water break?
Oh, if it's a tactical change, I mean, if you've set up, I mean, I agree with what Andrew says. That sometimes. It's always a little bit embarrassing if you're a player that has to come off in the first half. But if you've set up your team for a certain way and you're, as the manager, you see something that you may have missed and it's very glaring, and you think, hold on a minute, I need to change this around. I didn't know they were going to go this way. It has to be done as long as it's explained to the player, and the player is aware that he's had to be a tactical substitution. You would think that the player would be okay with that if it's for the good of the team. I mean, if we're talking about an Abui situation, well, that's a different kettle of fish, right?
Yeah, a little bit. So I think we're all in agreement. We go for the last 2 wins without jeopardizing the FA Cup in 2 weeks, but put out a strong side in both of these matches. I think we're still within striking distance of 7th, even if, and I actually have the game on right now. Wolves are now up 2-0 on Palace in the second half. I think we can still get 7th even after this result if it stays the way it is. But if this result means, well, it would be tough because Wolves, I think, are 3 to the good on us in goal differential. So if they win, the best we could do is tie them on points, I think, because they're 3 points ahead of us. So result of this game could change things a lot for Mikel Arteta going into tomorrow and especially Sunday against Watford. So I know we've got big opinions on this one. And boy, I can't wait to see what Andrew and Tony and Glenn say in the comments. Here we go. Stan, I'm gonna pass it over to you. I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you're gonna play the host for a little bit here because this was your poll. So you go ahead, give us a bit of a background on it. Tell us what's going on in it. And yeah.
So on Twitter, I do polls every now and again, and the reason why I do these polls is they're usually very quick and short questions, and it's generally because I have my opinions, but I'm always genuinely interested to know what everybody else is thinking. And so I might ask a question. You can only keep one at right back, and I'll put a couple of names, and I see what people are feeling. Earlier on today, a mate of mine he sent me a thing about Mesut Ozil, and it was basically an article from a site called the Transfer Exchange Show, and it just said that Mesut Ozil has turned down 2 contract offers from Galatasaray and Fenerbahce. The former German international has no intention of leaving Arsenal until his contract was over. And I saw something else going on saying that there were also potential offers from Japan, America, and Italy as well. And I've spoken to Ozil fans before, and he's got over 29 million Twitter followers. The club has about 15 million. Arsenal as a club has 15 million. So he really overshadows the club. And I've spoken to a few before, and I always had the feeling that when he finally decides to leave us, that we would lose supporters as a club because he has supporters that are more into him as a brand. So I put a poll out, and when I do these polls, I usually get maybe around about 200 or so people will get involved and take part. And I simply asked, and I tried to put no bias of my own feelings into the question. And I just put, when Mesut Ozil finally leaves Arsenal, will you, and the choices that you had were, continue to support AFC or switch to his new club? And right now I'm looking at the poll, and I started the poll just before we came on air. And already it's received 618 votes, far outdone any other poll that I've ever put out there before. And right now, we've got 90.1% will continue to support Arsenal when Mesut Ozil finally leaves the club. But there's 9.9% that are going to switch to the new club that he eventually goes to. But the most amusing thing is that the amount of heat that I'm getting from this tweet. I've never had a tweet been retweeted so many times with things like, with a heading like, is this even a question? What kind of a question is this? And, and if you look through the comments of the poll, it's kind of 50-50. You've got a lot of people which are kind of like, I don't see why everyone's having a go at Mesut Ozil. He didn't ask for his contract. Leave him alone. He's a great player. And you've got other people that are like, I'm going to jump for joy. Worst signing we've ever made. I'm going to have a party, good riddance, and people saying things like, if you're only here to support an individual, and not the club, then I can't wait for you to leave as well. But the best response that I've had, it was from a Twitter follower called Lee Ali Lee. And it was a picture and a quote by Dennis Bergkamp, which I retweeted. And Dennis said, when you start supporting a football club, you don't support it because of the trophies or a player or history. You support it because you found yourself somewhere there, found a place where you belong. Dennis Bergkamp. And I'm kind of that opinion. I respect all Gooners' opinions, and those that want to say what they want to say about us, about Mesut Ozil, I don't have a problem with them. They're entitled to their own opinion. I'm of the opinion of Dennis Bergkamp and always have been. So it was just I don't know what you guys think about it, or people in the chat box that are listening. And if you want to know about my feelings of Mesut Ozil, I was always of the opinion that when we decided to give him that huge contract when Sanchez was leaving, I was from day one, I said, no, let them both go. He's not worth that contract. That was just my opinion. I understand why they done it. I understand their thinking behind the way that they were doing it. I never agreed with it. And I've not seen anything from his performances since he's had that contract for me that shows that we are getting our money's worth. So pick out of that what you want. I'm not his biggest fan. I don't know what he's like as a person, but as a football player for Arsenal, wearing the shirt and purely what I'm looking at as his output on the pitch, worst signing we've ever made, worst contract that we've ever offered.
So everybody sees it. And everybody went the wrong way. But there's a screenshot of the poll. And obviously I'm giving Stan I'm plugging Stan's Twitter account here as well. Not that we aren't all plugging it with our the bars there with our names in it, but yeah. So there you go. He's not making this up. When he said it, 618 votes, and 10% actually voted switching to his new club.
And the reason I did it is because I've always known this. I've known it. I think I've done something like this many years and years ago. Didn't have as many interactions, and I've always known this. And I just wanted to show people that we do have some passengers at the club. That's what I call them. They're passengers. I don't hate them. I don't like them. They're whatever, you know. And as they say, once Mesut Ozil goes, they'll be gone. You know.
Yeah. I'll let you guys have your say on it. We were talking about this off air before we started. It's still this is going to be a hot button topic in the Arsenal fan base, whether we like it or not, until he leaves. And Glenn, yeah, Gunnar since 77. That answers that question. Mesut Ozil wasn't even staying in his daddy's shorts in 1977. So, yeah, Ryan.
I mean, yeah, you guys. I mean, Stan pretty much covered it. As somebody who is a Ozil admirer for Jesus since he was in Werder Bremen, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I feel like I said on the before the podcast. I feel like a born-again Christian. You know, I was a huge admirer of his. I play like him when I play football. And listen, I have a bunch of jerseys.
So you don't play football?
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, no.
Muted. Stan had a comment, but he was muted.
I said what you said. I just said, so you don't play that often, then, Ryan. Anyway.
No, but yeah, I mean, it's an unfortunate situation, and I mean, there's nothing really to talk about. I mean, are you an Arsenal fan or are you not an Arsenal fan? I mean, it's almost in the question. It's almost in the poll, and I said this multiple times to multiple people, and some people just want to watch the world burn, and some people are just in it for the ride. And the people that you want to go with Ozil, go with Ozil. I know, I'm not. I don't care. You know, I think back in his day, he was a world class player, and I miss that. I got to be honest. Part of me deep down, it's like you know, dating a girl. I mean, I consider him an ex-boyfriend. Fuck it, you know. There were some good times with him, but at the end of the day, you know, we got to move forward as a club, and he's not in the plans, and he is not going to help us move forward. So we need to just get rid of him. And yeah, I mean, I can talk about Ozil all day, but I'm trying to keep it short. But yeah, I mean, it's a simple answer.
And I think we all know this, and I think we're all smart enough to understand that. Yes, I think the team would sell him on right now. I think they'd even split his wages. I think they'd even pay the majority of his wages just to get him off, just to get him out the door, get him off the books. So I don't think it's for lack of effort on the club's part to get him out of here, but you have to have a buyer, and at the end of the day, he has a contract, and no one is going to pay that kind of money for him.
See, we have a buyer. It's not about having a buyer; it's having him just agree to go.
Well, and he has to agree the terms to go, which. Rowan, you can speak wonders on this as far as the contract and the wording in the contract is concerned. But floor's yours. Go.
So, I agree with the people who say, and I don't think Stan disagrees or anybody disagrees that it's Arsenal's fault that they've given him that contract. Right? It's not his fault. They could have sold him. They could have not given him that contract. They could have, given him a far lesser contract. Whether he would have signed it or not would have been a different case. But we signed it knowingly what we were getting into. That's not the right move. I understand why they did it. They did it because Ozil and Sanchez were our two big players. Sanchez was going to not get the backlash. They thought that this is a good move. He had a good season before that, so they thought that it might continue. So they've done that. Now that's the past. It doesn't matter. Now what can we do in the future? Right now, what we can do, I think he turns up for training. I think he makes himself available, but his attitude or his gameplay or whatever is not suited to the team, and he's just not in the plan. So he's out. If he's completely out, again, the ball is in Arsenal's court. What you can do, if he's not leaving, a week before transfer deadline, if you know that he's not leaving, you know that for the next year you have to pay him 18 million anyway. Pay him that 18 million. Get him out of the club, because he's just bringing a bad vibe to the club right now. Youngsters are looking at him and seeing that this is a World Cup winner. This is our 3-time FA Cup winner, 1-time, highest, transfer wage that we have paid. He's the highest earner in the club. Is this how we want to conduct our club? And that also affects our future signings, because this will, if any world-class player who wants to come in, like Aubameyang, let's say we want to sign him up, it's fair of him to say that I want Ozil money. Why don't you give me Ozil money? This would be a statement by the club that this is what we're doing. We admit our fault. Here's the 18 million. You can go. And now we have a salary cap. We do not pay players more than 250 grand, or we'll pay you in incentives. You have to earn it. This is what it is. And you have to earn anything beyond that. And that's what Auba's contract is, right? So now again, it's on Arsenal. I don't think it's anything to do with Ozil or his fans. I love watching him play. When he does play, I love the touch that he has. When I watched him in DC, he had a couple of magnificent touches on the ball, but he's just not good for the team. He's not good for the vibe of the club. He's not good for the future of the club. And the decision is with the club whether they want to pay it off or whether they just want to keep a passenger. He's also a passenger in this team, and whether they want to keep him.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's going to be a hot button topic until he's gone. And one thing that I do want to stand, it's actually, I say it's a great poll because it shows to me it's a silly question, and I think we're all in agreement with that. It's a silly question, and I think everybody in the comments agrees with me that it's a silly question. And I did say off air also that if you looked at the age of the people who are voting follow him out of the club, I said I think that they're probably 20 or younger, and they may even be younger than that. They might be 18 or younger. There's a group of Arsenal fans, or an age group of Arsenal fans, who really kind of, how do I want to say, realized what they were watching, and they were old enough to understand what they were seeing. And Mesut Ozil in his day was a great player. His day is gone now. At least for the Premier League anyway. His day is gone. But I think there's a big contingent of young Arsenal fans, and I'm not saying it's right, but I think they're Arsenal fans because of Mesut Ozil.
You see, sorry.
No, and the only thing I'll say, in playing a bit of devil's advocate, is I will say that there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. If you're my age and you're an Arsenal fan and you're going to follow Mesut Ozil out the door, and if you've been supporting like Glenn since '77, I've been supporting this club as best I could anyway since well, I'll say since '89, '90, because first thing I ever saw was Anfield '89. But Stan, you've been an Arsenal fan since the mid '70s.
Yeah, I've been doing it for 46, 47 years. Yeah. And someone just asked me on my poll if I'm going to switch. I mean, I'm in it.
And that's kind of one of those things where if you've become over the course of time, and how long has he been at the club? 5, 6 years?
7
so when did we buy it? 7 years. Yeah.
And I have to say to you, right, That can I just say, you're right. It's a stupid question. It's a question, but I wanted to serve my own morbid curiosity because I can understand doing everything that you can to get behind the club and the team. But the one thing that I've always had a difficult time with is blind devotion. Do you know what I mean? It's blind devotion, you know?
I mean,
if you come in and you find your son crouched over a body and there's blood everywhere and the knife is in his hand and it's like that, and he's guilty. It doesn't matter.
Right.
He's guilty. He's guilty. As much as you love your child, you know what I mean? Blind devotion. And I see a lot of blind devotion with Mesut Ozil. I mean, after everything that he's been through with us now, right? I'm still seeing people trying to tell me that he still has a role to play within Arsenal's team. And I'm being harsh on him.
Yeah.
And then I'm talking about what I see on the pitch, and they're coming back to me and saying, well, he never asked for that contract. I'm not talking about that. And I've said it on here, and you can go back and see it on other podcasts. I understand that he didn't ask for it. I would have taken it.
We all would have.
Sign me up.
And I'll probably turn up a lot less than Mesut Ozil because I'm rubbish, right? But you're going to take it. But to me, it's just the how many times, right? How many times is Dr. Soga Erga, whatever his name is, right? Ozil's representative. How many times is he going to do an interview and reinforce that he is not going anywhere no matter what? That's what it sounds like. It sounds like we don't care. It doesn't matter who comes in to do what. He is not leaving this contract. There doesn't sound like there's any wiggle room. If you're not wanted somewhere, I don't agree that you should be forced out of the door. But I mean, if I'm working somewhere and I know that I'm clearly not wanted there, then I would be doing everything that I can to try and get myself into a more pleasant and productive situation. Do you know what I'm getting at? I mean, I don't understand. It looks very stubborn to me. It looks like something's gone on behind the scenes, and I think it probably goes back to the time when Unai Emery came out and said, when he started leaving Ozil out of the team, he came out and he said, the position that I'm taking with Ozil, it's been backed by the club. It's been backed by the club. So Mesut Ozil's hearing that about his employers. And that would piss me off as well. And it's not going to form a good relationship going forward, but I would be wanting to get out of that toxic environment, personally.
I agree 100%. Finish that. Nope. Sorry.
I think that
like a watch along for Wolves in Crystal Palace right now. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Rowan.
I think that somebody had made this brilliant point in another podcast. It's not mine, but I forget. So but I'm going to tell you what the point was, that I think, or the person who said it, he thought that Ozil seems to have fallen out of love with football. That's his issue. He doesn't care that the employers don't like him. For him, it's a job. He has his family now. He gets his money. He does some charity. He's planning for the future. He doesn't care whether Arsenal like him or not. He doesn't care whether, he gets to play or not. He feels like he's already done that. He's already played. He's won league titles in Madrid. He's won the World Cup. He's basically achieved a lot in his life. And it's sort of the Gareth Bale situation. It's not gone as bad as Gareth Bale, because Gareth Bale has literally come out and he's disrespected the club a lot more than Ozil has, in my opinion. But it just seems like he's not in love with football anymore. There isn't that desire for him to play. And when you don't have that desire, nothing really hurts you, right? You would want to go out and play or find another employer if you had any desire of playing. But why would he give anything up? Because he's not in love with football anymore.
Can I just add quickly as well that I saw an article, an interview with Mesut Ozil a while back, and he kind of said that, when he gets old and he looks back on his life, if the only thing that he's going to be remembered for has been a football player, then he looks at that as a failure. That's not enough for him. So I get the feeling that, he wants to be out there doing philanthropy. And I know that he does a lot for charity, and I'm not saying that is not a noble thing. I'm only concerned about him as a footballer for Arsenal, because I support. It's got nothing to do with what he is as a person. But again, I find that a shocking comment that like it just looks to me, as Rohan says, by that comment, he doesn't seem that interested in the actual football part of it anymore. But he'll be there front and center when Fortnite download a new season for the game. He'll be there front and center to play that, because that seems to be what floats his boat. Football, no.
Correct. Just think about it. He's been on strike per se, not in the literal sense, but he's been on strike for what, the last 2.5 seasons almost. He's 30 right now. He's gonna turn 31 in October, right? He has spent his prime years as a footballer being on the bench and striking and not playing and all of that. When you're 27, 28, 29, those are your prime years, and people want to get the most out of it. But I think he already peaked so much early on in his life that he's just gotten over it. For him, it's not thrilling anymore. It's not a challenge, and he feels like it's all right. This is a job. I need to turn up for training. I'll come back. They want to call me for the team meeting because I'm in the starting 11. That's fine. They don't want to call me. I'm happy with that. I'll just sit in my house. I'll, look at my bank account and whoa, that's 350 grand more, So that's how he feels. Another example of this is recently this week, Andre Schürrle has retired from football. You guys remember him, right?
Mm-hmm. I remember.
He retired at 29.
Yeah.
And that's because he felt that there were, and I read a little bit about this, and he said that there were too many lows now and not enough highs happening. He also was in that World Cup winning squad. I think he won the Premier League with Chelsea. So, and then he went to Fulham, and he went to Dortmund, and it didn't work out there, things like that. So it is like that, right? Like a lot of times we think because we are not playing football, that's why we love football. But if you speak to any psychologist, they say it's commonly said, right, that you should, if you love the thing that you do, you will do it better. But a lot of times if you do the things that you love, you sort of fall out of love with it because it becomes an everyday task. You can't do it every day after that. You enjoy it because it's a choice. You hate it now because it's an obligation on you. And it's
because it's your job.
Yeah. And it's become an obligation on Ozil. Huh?
Yeah. I can't add anything to this because you guys have said everything that I was going to say. Rowan, I think you put it brilliantly. He's fallen out of love with football, and he is looked at the other ventures in his life now. And look, at the end of the day, why would you leave? You're making $350,000 a freaking week. You could go buy $150,000 car every single week for what, 5 years? Is that what we gave him? 4 years? No, 4 years. 5 years. We gave him 5 years. Yeah. I mean, they're just like, for us, at least for me anyway, I can't wrap my brain around that. I cannot wrap my brain around the idea that I could literally drive a $150,000 automobile, a different one, every single week for 5 years. I can't wrap my brain around that. But like you said, to him, it's a job. And at one point in his life, I'm sure he loved playing football. And the key to life, at least as I've heard it said in certain circles, is when you realize what it is that you love to do, figure out how to make money at it. That's professional athletes by and large to a T, right? I mean, we all loved playing sports when we were kids. And I would dare say that anybody who's watching right now in the comments, anybody who watches on replay, you played a sport, whether it be organized, you signed up for it, or you just, played a pickup game of whatever in somebody's backyard or on somebody's street, and you loved it, and you wanted to be a professional athlete because you loved playing the game. But eventually it gets beaten into you so much that, like Rowan said, you start to fall out of love with it because it consumes you. So I do get that. But it's, the question of, follow him or are you a Gooner? I think it's a silly question for most people, but I maybe a bit of devil's advocate here. I can understand I guess I'll put it to you this way. I'll tell you a quick story. And I know I always come back to hockey, but I'm a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. My dad was a Bruins fan, is a Bruins fan. And I became a Pittsburgh Penguins fan because I was that asshole kid that had to be different from everybody else. All I had were the Bruins growing up with my dad. But I remember watching Mario Lemieux score his first goal, and he did it against the Bruins. And guess who became my favorite player? And by default, my favorite team. Now, that being said, he never left the Penguins. He never played for another team. But that became my team because of him. And then I became a Penguins fan first and a Lemieux fan second. I think there is a large, young population of Arsenal fans who became Arsenal fans because of Mesut Ozil, but they've not become Arsenal fans first, Mesut Ozil fans second. Like I said, if you're any, I mean, I went through off the air, and I won't divulge any secrets, gents, but we figured out how old we all are. I think you guys know how old I am. I think you do.
I actually do not.
I'm 41. I will divulge my own secret.
Come on. I was going to guess.
Sorry. Ryan, guess how old I am. No, I'm just kidding. I'm 41. I've been an Arsenal fan since I've been an Arsenal fan since 1989, and I'm an Arsenal fan, period. So I get that. But I can the younger crowd, I can see maybe where they're coming from. But if you've been a fan as long as I have been, as long as any of us have been, this is just silly. So,
speaking of ages, I've got people. Yeah. I'm just reading some. I'm just because the tweets is blowing up. I'm getting so many people commenting. The best one is someone's asking me if I'm 14.
If you're what?
If I'm 14. I'm 14 years old.
And see, and that's what I mean.
If only they knew. I wish I was.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Believe me, I really
switch those numbers around and add 11.
Oh, hey, come on.
I divulged the secret.
Oh.
Don't worry. I'll edit that out later. I'll edit that. Oh, wait, we're live.
I don't
anyway, guys.
I'm an old fart. It is what it is. I hold my hands up. I am an old fart, but
See, but what you have going for you though is no hair, so nobody can see the gray. See, like that's all I have is gray. Here in about 3 years, I'm going to look like Santa Claus.
Oh, if I didn't shave
with the beard and the weight.
If I didn't shave my head once a week, I'd have like a grey afro.
Ooh, I want to see it.
Yeah, I know, right now, all of a sudden, now we all want to see it. Look at the look on Rowan's face.
I look like Morgan Freeman.
Tremendous. Wow. Settle down there, cowboy. Anyway, good way to wrap it up. We all need a good laugh and smile. I had a good laugh. I don't know about anybody else. Don't care. No, I'm kidding. Guys, want to do quick predictions? On Villa and Watford, and I'll be on just real quick. I'm not even sure I can make a prediction because I have no idea how we're going to line up for either one of these two games. I think tomorrow, some guys are going to get a rest. I think you're going to get some of the younger kids getting a good long look. I think Reece Nelson probably plays the whole game. Knock on wood, and I'm knocking on wood because I don't want any injuries. I don't want Reece Nelson coming off, for any reason other than fatigue or tactics. I don't want any of them coming off for any reason other than that. I will go first just to, I guess, maybe set a baseline. I'm going to go big, man. I think we can win 4-1 tomorrow.
Wow.
I think we can win 4-1 tomorrow. I really do. I think we win 4-1 tomorrow, and I think we win 2-0 on Sunday against Watford at home. And I don't think you're going to see. I think you'll get about half the squad from. I think you'll get about half the squad, other than half the squad. Because I think one last question before we do this, it just popped into my head. And Ryan, you're gonna blow your load on this one. Would you give Matt Macy a start in either one of these two games?
Ooh. I don't see
anyone. It's not just a question to Ryan. I
was kind of when we were talking about the last games of the Premier League and the FA Cup. I was kind of on everyone's boat, like how I think we should try to win the last two Premier League games. But I also, I agree with that. Shout out to Andrew. I think that I want to win the last two games, but we should focus on the FA Cup, you know. But with that being said, I think our depth just against Villa and Watford, I think we could beat Villa and Watford. I'm not saying we should Frankenstein the bitch, but I think if we make a few substitutions, sit a few players, I think we should win both games, no problem. But the thing with the goalkeeper is I don't think you really need a rest. I don't think goalies really need a rest. I think you got to always ride the hot hand. As a fellow hockey fan, with you, Tanner, I think you always ride the hot hand. You don't want to sit the goalkeeper no matter what. As much as I would love to see Matt Macy play, and I think God forbid, I'm knocking on wood, if we don't get the desirable result we need from Villa, or if we don't get the desirable results from other people, I think if Watford's game kind of is a little less meaningless and doesn't really matter what happens, yeah, you start Matt Macy. But I think we should try to win all 3 games, and I think we should try to do with the best players we have. And I understand like certain players like Ceballos, Aubameyang need rest. I agree with that. But as far as Martinez, ride the hot hand. Do it up.
Stan? Rowan?
About the Matt Macy thing, I think ordinarily, if we hadn't had the changes that we've had in the manager this season, trying to get everybody to understand what the kind of play is, if it was like an ordinary normal season and our goalkeeper had been injured and we had a number 2 doing so well, I would say, yeah, maybe somewhere like the Aston Villa game, let's give our 3rd keeper a go. Let's give him some minutes, Not only that, it gives us a chance to have a look at him, to see where he is, to see where he is in the squad. But because of the way that we are at the moment, we've just begun to get this kind of momentum. I would be worried about doing anything that could unsettle that, because the last thing I would want to happen is that we come out of the Aston Villa game losing, say, 2-1, and it's because of a goalkeeper mistake. You know what I mean? That would be the last thing that we would need. It'd probably be the last thing that Matt Macy would need, because you know what our fan base is like, man. They'd be all over it. So, no, let's stick with Martinez, because as Ryan says, goalkeepers don't need much of a rest, do they? Well, then again, though, Martinez has been making a lot of saves, hasn't he?
Yeah.
See, I think that this guy has been on the bench for 10 years now, right? Like he's waited for his chance for 10 years. Don't take
his rest.
Don't take that away from him. He's performing exceptionally well. Don't change something that don't try to fix something that's not broken, right?
Yeah.
They say. So that's a position that he should continue, unless Martinez himself comes up and says that, like I faced 40 shots. I feel like I need to rest for a little bit, which I doubt he will say. So give him the time out. This will carry on momentum. When he faces more situations, he will evolve. Maybe that there's 1 or 2 things he learns in the next few games that he implements against Chelsea. And then once Leno is back, anyway, you have a difficult decision at hand. Maybe Martinez starts. Maybe he goes on the bench. That's something that Stan should ask, like the 600 odd people what they should be doing. But so that's why goalkeeper for me, I'd keep the same. We already discussed the back 3. 2 of them definitely changed. Kolasinac, put him in there. Mustafi played 1 of the 2 games, so I'd play him as well. And then Holding, I'd give Tierney a rest. Put someone on left. Put Maitland-Niles or someone on left back. Put Cedric. He's cup tied. He's not going to play in the final. So, I would not play Bellerin or anyone else in that position. Just play Cedric. In the midfield, change it up. I don't want to see Xhaka tomorrow, and I don't want to see Ceballos tomorrow. I want to see a new midfield. Maybe Maitland-Niles could play midfield. Ryan would like that, right? So that could happen.
Anyone in the field, I'm excited for Maitland-Niles.
You run free, and you tell them that this is an audition, and look what the guys have done in the past, 4, 5, 6 days. and you have to follow it up. And I'm sure these guys will take responsibility. So that's my prediction, or that's what I want in terms of the lineup. I think in terms of prediction, we probably win 3-1 the next game against Villa, and against Watford we might win 2-0 or something like that. That's what I have to say. And the last thing that I want to say, in the beginning of the thing, we discussed about the tragic five, and we discussed that they always have a mistake in them, and all of that. But I do want to say that and they're not world class players. Nobody believes that these guys are world class players, but some of them did have a world class game, and we can acknowledge that, right? Like, I mean, we don't have to sort of these are our players. I don't think anybody wants to perform badly. They're just shit at it. That's why they perform badly. But then when they perform well, we can stand up for these guys, right? They wear our badge, right? They represent us. So what's the issue in acknowledging that somebody had a world-class game? And for me, David Luiz, I still wanted him gone, and I still do want him gone. And Xhaka, I still don't want him to start next season. If he is still our starter next season, I feel that we are in big trouble. But against Man City, these guys were immense.
Yeah. Well said. And Stan, I'll give it to you real quick. Final thoughts. I want to wrap up here before I hit the hour and a half mark, if I can. So,
yeah, for me, final thoughts. I think that I'm actually getting to the stage where I'm starting to feel confident going into next games now that that we can get results. I think that we can get a result against Aston Villa, and I think that we can get a result against Watford. And it's vital that the last game of the season that we end on a high, because the next game is a cup final, and I can't wait for that, because now that we've got Chelsea in the final, we can really lay that fiasco in Baku to rest, hopefully. And I mean, I don't want to jinx nothing, but can you imagine if Mikel Arteta is lifting the FA Cup after joining us midway? And here we are. I mean, I can remember going back just a couple of months and talking to people and saying, in the time that I've supported Arsenal, I've never known it to be this bad. Well, if we can lift an FA Cup in the worst ever season that I've ever seen at Arsenal, what a turnaround. What a turnaround.
Yep. Well said. Ryan, you're going to get the last word before me.
All right. I mean, yeah, I couldn't really agree more with Stan. And Rowan too. I think we're doing well. Things are going well. I think we should put everything we can into the FA Cup final. But in respect to Rohan's extreme positivity, he's completely right. Some of these players should not be starting for our team, and we do have mistakes in the club. And someone like Granit Xhaka, since he's been in the team, we haven't finished higher than 5th place. And what? All right, hold on. My friend wants to say something. One second. Hey guys, what's up? Hey, Tony in the comments, love you so much. I just want to say that I did my best and I tried everything I could. I put everything I could into this game for Man City. And I think that all you motherfuckers need to recognize that I'm the new captain. I'm going to be the captain for the foreseeable future. So fuck all you Arsenal fans, and I'm going to do what I can to make us win the FA Cup. And I don't give a fuck if you like me or not, but I'm here to stay, bitches. Jesus Christ, dude. All right. Anyways, yeah. So, that was a little shout out to Tony there for you. And by the way, I just want to get it on record and saying I hate Xhaka almost as much as Tony does, but not quite. But he fucking killed it for us against Man City. I'm so sorry, Tony. He was very close to my man of the match. I don't know if I'd put him there. Probably like the notch below. But yeah. So, but nonetheless, going back to what Rohan said, I think a lot of these players, we need to make some moves, and that's why I kind of said on Ray's podcast, I really want to see this transfer window. I'm so excited for the transfer window. Whether we make moves or don't make moves, it's our turning point for Arteta. It's our turning point for our season, and I'm buckled in and excited.
Well done, gentlemen. I appreciate each and every one of you coming on and joining me today. Thank you very much. Everybody watching live, everybody in the comments, Ryan, Tony, Andrew, Glenn, who'd I miss? I don't think I missed Ray. Yeah, I think I got most of you guys there. I don't know what Andrew's talking about. I'm going to poo myself, but if I don't log off here quick, I'm going to have a little turtle head poking out. I can tell you that. So you guys aren't far off. As always, please like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me if you would do that. Also, please check out the links in the description below. My buddy Dan, the Matchday Shop on Hornsey Road in the N5, and also Dogs on the Street, London. They're doing yeoman's work for London's homeless population and the dogs over there. You guys know I love them. So please, if you've got any extra change laying around, please go ahead and give them a small donation. Anything would make a world of difference in the work that they do. Really appreciate it, guys. Thanks, everybody, for joining me. This has been the Bearded Gooner Show, and we out.